You've probably played a game before that uses psychological tricks to manipulate you into spending more time or money on the game. Nearly every game wants you to play it as much as possible, but not all games are explicitly designed to be addictive. Not all games are designed to get you to come back every single day. Plenty of games don't care at all whether you only play once a week or once a year. Your incentive to keep playing is simply because it's fun. It's intrinsic motivation. But the play every day design is pretty much the standard for MMOs and mobile games, and it usually feels kinda shady, sometimes downright sinister. Whether it's loot boxes, time-gated content, persistent game worlds, daily content, progress or upgrade timers that take days or more to complete, rewards for daily logins, or punishment for not playing, the reception by players is usually at the very least a sense of discomfort, and sometimes even protest. And Animal Crossing does nearly all of these things. The game is full of systems of extrinsic motivation, but somehow Animal Crossing gets away with it. I want to offer my take on why this is. What makes Animal Crossing so different that it gets a free pass? Why is it allowed to get away with using elements of game design that ordinarily feel manipulative? Before I talk about how Animal Crossing gets away with this, let me show you what I mean in the first place. What specific game mechanics does Animal Crossing use that are typically hated or even seen as predatory? Nobody likes missing out on things. If your two favorite bands are playing at the same night at a music festival, you can't help but feel at least a little shitty about it, even though you do get to see one of your favorite bands. Humans are fine-tuned to weigh losses greater than gains. Loss aversion plays a role in more human behavior than we'd like to admit. Animal Crossing runs on a real-life calendar. Every real-life day is a different day in Animal Crossing. If you don't play for a day, that's a day you've permanently missed. A single day might not be the biggest deal. All you're really missing out on is some fossils and maybe an island visitor. But if you don't play for multiple days, like a week or even a month, that's when you begin to miss out on a lot. Holiday events, fish and insects only available certain times of the year, the in-game changing of seasons. There are even in-game events set up by your town like fishing contests that happen on specific days. If you don't have any time to play this Saturday, well, I guess you'll have to wait another month to do that fishing contest. Technically, you can change the date on your Nintendo Switch to trick the game into thinking the day is different from what it actually is, but this doesn't work for special events because for these, your Switch needs to be connected to the internet, in which case the date will be corrected automatically. When I was a kid, I actually played the GameCube Animal Crossing primarily through time travel. It was much more convenient back then. You could change the date in the game itself before starting your play session. For a kid who is only allowed to play video games on weekends, Animal Crossing without the time travel would have been nearly unplayable with how much I would have missed out on. I don't know how kids these days are doing it with New Horizons. I guess they're just video game addicted zombies whose parents don't care if they spend 6 hours every day sitting indoors staring at a screen. World of Warcraft is notorious for the amount of daily busy work you have to do if you want to feel like you're keeping up with other players. Each day, it's only after you've spent an hour doing your in-game chores that you can get to the gameplay that you're actually interested in. This is a big reason I've barely touched WoW for the past 2 years, aside from Classic WoW, which doesn't have this stuff. With Animal Crossing, at least for me, the daily chores are nearly the entirety of what I spend my time on in the game each day. You've got your 5 initial Nook Miles Plus to achieve, which is an infinite reward system that can easily lead to feeling like you need to play forever because there's always more Nook Miles to earn and they're so easy to collect. You've got your island to explore, your clothes and furniture to collect, your balloons to pop, your rocks to hit, your trees to shake, your neighbors to talk to, your 4 fossils to find, your 4 or 5 visits to the shop and museum. Yes, I built my shop directly behind my resident services building. Don't judge me, it's convenient. Your money hole, and if you're feeling up to it, your 1, 2, or 7 Nook Miles islands to go to. Plus, there's a level of FOMO involved here too. Including what I already mentioned for FOMO and daily chores, there are what I would call come back tomorrow mechanics. A lot of games employ the use of daily login rewards. Elder Scrolls Online has these to the extreme. There's a whole list of rewards that get better and better the more days you've logged into the game each month. Not to mention the horse training that's on a 20-hour cooldown, which will last you around 180 days per character. There was a period where I wasn't even playing ESO anymore, but I continued to just log in each day to get these things. The Elder Scrolls Legends and Elder Scrolls Blades both have these too. Hearthstone has them, but there they require some actual gameplay. In addition to login rewards, some games use time-gated content, or progress timers. Anyone who's ever played Clash of Clans is familiar with progress timers. In that game, they quickly become absurd. At first it takes 15 seconds to build a new building, then it's 15 minutes, then 2 hours, and after a while it becomes 30 days. Before long, you're not even playing a game anymore. Your gameplay consists of tapping on your gold and elixir producers every couple hours like a crack fiend with a pipe, and checking on the status of your town hall upgrade, which still has 48 days remaining, and completing that instantaneously for the small sum of $15 sure sounds tempting. Not all games offer the ability to speed up progress timers for real money payments. In these cases, the timers are acting as an extrinsic incentive for you to come back tomorrow. Like in World of Warcraft, there's the mission tables, which have somehow remained in the game for 6 years. Even worse is the time-gated content in that game. A questline that says, alright, that's as far as you can go. Come back next week, without even the barest excuse as to why I can't continue it right now. The content's already been made, the game designers just want to stretch it as far as they can, collecting your subscription money while you wait arbitrarily. In Animal Crossing, there's nothing that brazen. Aside from the promise of a new day tomorrow and all the activities that entails, there's also a daily reward for Nook miles for interacting with the Nook stop. The more days in a row, the more miles, capping out at 7 days. It's only 300 miles, which is actually pretty negligible, but it's not so negligible that the game designers at Nintendo didn't include it. They're aware how powerful streaks are for creating habits, and how much people don't like starting over from zero. Animal Crossing also has progress timers in the form of 1-day construction delays. The game could be made so that when you finish paying for a bridge or home upgrade, it gets built immediately, but that wouldn't give you any reason to come back tomorrow. The final type of predatory mechanic I'd like to talk about is punishment. Punishment for not playing the game. In competitive online games, there's a sort of inherent punishment, getting behind other players, whether that's on the leaderboards or in improvements that you're not obtaining. Sometimes games have added-on punishments. In Animal Crossing, weeds develop on your island over time. Each day there might be 1 or 2 weeds to pull. If you don't play for a month or multiple months, your island will be overrun with weeds. Your island rating will go down, your neighbors won't be as happy. Also, if you don't play for a while, your neighbors will move away, both because you haven't talked to them and because of the increasing ugliness of your island. Knowing all these ways Animal Crossing tries to get you to play all the time, without missing a day and certainly not a full week, you might expect people to complain about it. But instead, Animal Crossing is widely loved, and pretty much lacks criticism. Other games that do these same sorts of things might still have very large and dedicated player bases, but people generally enjoy those games despite these problems, not because of them. World of Warcraft players generally dislike all the daily chores the game forces upon them, but the other parts of the game are enjoyable enough to keep them playing. In Animal Crossing, the daily chores and other addictive mechanics are the entire game. How does it get away with this stuff? I've got a few thoughts. The first is this. Animal Crossing is cute. It's charming. It's innocent feeling. The art style, the music, the characters. It's also lovable that people would put up with it if Tom Nook was asking for real money each time you wanted to expand your house. There's no competition, or at least the competition is not direct. Animal Crossing can be played online, but it is far from being an online multiplayer game. In an MMO, you're trying to stay competitive with the other players and not get behind the curve. In Animal Crossing, you can technically progress ahead of other people that are playing, but ultimately it's a single-player game that you can play at whatever pace you want, even if all the posts of beautiful islands on Instagram make it feel otherwise. Playing every day isn't strictly necessary. The incentives to play every day feel compelling and rewarding, but they turn out to be less important and much more transient than in other games. Animal Crossing does punish you for not playing for a month, but not nearly as much as MMOs do. Anything you gain for playing every day can be gained later. The dial of "you need to play every day" is turned up a few notches, unlike most single-player games where that dial is at 0. But it also is set lower than most of the games that do use that dial, giving it more of a relaxed attitude. The tone. While Animal Crossing is nudging you, saying, "Don't miss out, come back tomorrow," it counters that with its laid-back and relaxing tone. You're on a deserted island, a setting which perfectly encapsulates this paradoxical feeling. On a deserted island, there's a lot of work to be done every day, but you're also not held to anyone else's standards and can do the things the way you want, when you want. Identity and honesty. The fact that these features I've mentioned are the game mean that for Animal Crossing, daily chores and come back tomorrow systems aren't bolted on to artificially increase metrics. They provide Animal Crossing its identity. The fact that Animal Crossing is designed around these things completely alters how these things are perceived. It's not trying to be sneaky. It's straightforward and honest. Animal Crossing is saying, this is what the game is like. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But I've got a feeling you'll like it. It's unique. Very few single-player games prompt you to play every day. If more of them did, it would become more of a problem and would likely get exhausting and overwhelming. Let's compare Animal Crossing with a few other games, like Stardew Valley. In both games, you move to a cozy new village to start a new life. You maintain relationships with the villagers, you customize and upgrade your house and plot of land, you explore, but Stardew Valley has no extrinsic incentives to get you to play every day. The only thing making you play is how much fun you have. Animal Crossing is also really different from the other big Nintendo titles. In Super Mario Odyssey, there's nothing trying to get you to come back tomorrow. The same goes for Breath of the Wild, and for the vast majority of single-player games that exist. Have you ever tried actively playing more than one MMO? MMOs are the most demanding type of game. Playing one is already like having a job. If you're going to play two, there's really no room for you to also have a real job. If single-player games were like this, it would be unsustainable to play any more than two at a time. But as it stands, I can play Animal Crossing and a few other games. Since Animal Crossing is unique, I can accept its MMO or mobile game-like qualities. But most importantly, it's a one-time purchase. So while it may make you feel like you have to play every day, the game doesn't profit from how much you play and whether you fall for its tricks. It's not a subscription-based game where every day you play has a price. There are no microtransactions. The AAA gaming industry has gone so far downhill in the past 10 years that as long as a game doesn't have microtransactions, it gets a good reputation. But that leaves me with one last question. Since Animal Crossing is a one-time purchase, why is it designed to keep you playing every day? What does it matter to Nintendo whether you play for a week or for the rest of your life? In fact, I would think that one-time purchase games would be designed with a shorter lifespan, so that you move on to new games that require a new purchase. You get your 50 hours of gameplay out of Super Mario Odyssey, and then you buy Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, rather than playing Animal Crossing for 1,500 hours. Perhaps it's just designed for more of an Eastern audience, where it's more normal for a video game to become a lifestyle, and it just so happens that the Western market is also obsessed with Animal Crossing. Maybe it's all a ploy to sell more Joy-Cons, because any given set of Joy-Cons only lasts for about 60 hours of use before the inevitable Joy-Con drift sets in. Whatever the case, Animal Crossing commits several video game sins, such as daily login rewards, daily chores, progress timers, punishments for not playing, extrinsic incentives in general, and taking advantage of FOMO and the human instinct of loss aversion. But it gets away with it because it's cute, it has a relaxing and laid-back atmosphere, the player competition is indirect and what you miss out on isn't permanent, it's unique, it turns classic video game manipulations into its identity intentionally and honestly, and it has a one-time payment business model. So the next time you feel like Animal Crossing is taking advantage of you, rest assured that it is. But at least it's only consuming all of your time, and not your money.